hair is standing on end just thinking about it. My hair is standing on end just thinking about it. My hair is standing on end just thinking about it. My hair is standing on end just thinking about it. My hair is standing on end just thinking about it.
Hey, how are you? I'm good. I'm good.
Where you at? Are you at the track?
No, I'm actually at a coffee shop that I usually go to,
Oh,
right
nice.
across.
Dude, thanks for diving in, man. This is this is
What is it too?
pulling you in when I needed you. You don't you,
No, I got you, man. I
you
got you.
it looks like Henry's having
Can you hear me?
some. Yeah, I can hear you. Henry's having a few issues.
Okay.
The Yeah, we were supposed to be talking gymnastics with Yule Moldauer. So now
One
we
second.
can
Let
talk
me see if
gymnastics.
I can go inside. Maybe
Yeah,
because it's a little steamy hot out here,
is it?
and
Are you in Miami?
just to, let no, I'm in Arizona right now, actually.
Oh,
So you already know how that goes.
you
Yeah,
sure?
you already know how that goes with the
Exactly. Oh, that's
1,000-degree weather.
that's some real heat going on over there.
But yeah, no, for sure. Like I literally been out there for like 30 minutes or 5 minutes, and then with my computer was like, "Oh yeah, you might want to cool down. You don't want no smoke." But we're here.
So we got Henry Wynn is joining us. Was he on the show last
Okay.
time with you? I can't remember.
Not when I was there.
Do you know Henry? He's a 1,500-meter runner.
I'll have to see his face.
Yeah, he's very noticeable because he's tall. He's the tall one running around the track. You go, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I mean, we're coming up 30 seconds. We'll just start the show in like 30 seconds, 20 seconds. So we'll be right on
Okay.
time. And
I'm gonna post it on IG so we can try to get some people to tag
I
me.
like it. Awesome.
World's greatest team. I can use that same link that you sent me on the email, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, right now, while you're multitasking, we are live, Zaza. We are live.
Hey, hello. How you guys
So,
doing?
welcome to the world's greatest live stream show once again. I'm not sure what day it is in our show numbers, but it's like 5 or 6, right? But here's one thing I'm noticing already, Zaza. You look nothing like Yule Moldauer.
Like who?
Like Yule Moldauer, our gymnast who was supposed to be on the show
Uh,
today.
oh, wow.
There's there is he does a lot of tumbling, jumping, twisting, uh, iron
I'll
cross
probably
moves with the rings.
pick that.
I mean, the funny thing about you is if you're doing tumbling, that's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing at all. It's definitely not a good thing at all. I don't want to tumble at all when it comes to a track. But
Exactly. The so So I'll give everyone a little intro on me. I'm Bob Siosik. I'm founder of World's Greatest. Uh, our company is built to support athletes, world class athletes, Olympic athletes. We have specialized for a few years in the world of track and field. We're expanding that out a little bit more this year, and we'll continue to do so. Um, and so joining me today, Zaza, I want you to introduce yourself and don't be shy about giving your accolades.
well, I'm Zaza Wellington or Wellington Zaza, whichever one you feel comfortable. So I'm a 110 relay hurdler, sprinter, 4x1 relay member of Team Nigeria's Olympic team, multiple time All-American at Auburn University, and that's just a real brief summary about me.
That's
And
a
a
nice.
modest sport.
Hey, if anyone wants to get a quick hit of who Zaza is, you can go to youtube.com/world's greatest. You could click if you want to click into it and save the link. The bar will be coming up in a second right there, and you can
Definitely.
click on the super doc that we did with Zaza So it's basically
That
like
was
a
a good one.
little minute, right? A minute and a half, 2 minute piece that's your life story in a very short amount of time. The
And you hear me speak a different language.
oh man, the I want to hear you do the show intro in your native language. Ready?
Oh man.
Go.
Oh man. Oh, you just put me in the spot. All right, ready for it?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, hello, my people. Welcome to the World's Greatest Team. My name is Wellington Jr. And we're here, Bob. We ready for the show. We're gonna bring everybody in today. We got some very good guests in place yet, so we'll be ready for it. Get it out.
There we go. The I can see Henry trying to pop in here, so I'm gonna continue to try to bring him on the show. But while we're waiting for him, oh, and there he
Hey
is.
there.
Boom.
Technical difficulties going on over here. Oh my god.
You know, Henry, this is
How's
so everybody knows. Um, we really this is no one that we had in our promo on Twitter and and LinkedIn. None of us look like Yule Moldauer. None of us can do gymnastics like Yule Moldauer. None of us have all the all the hardware that Yule has. But he's going to be on Tuesday. So he's in Hawaii, and we had technical difficulties with him last time, and he thought he found a better Wi-Fi spot, and he did not. So we're like, let's just avoid that. He's like, all right, I'll be on Tuesday, and I'm like, all right, and then I shot a text to you two guys. So this is what you call, the left turn, and now you guys are the stars of the show. So we're going to either talk about gymnastics, and which I know nothing about, or we're going to pivot to talk track and field.
Always
Either
ready to
one,
pivot.
always.
Hey Henry,
Wi-Fi's causing a lot of issues today.
you sound great. It's looking good.
Great.
Henry, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hey there. So I'm happy to be back. I was here a few days ago, but Henry Wynn, currently a Brooks Beast track member out in Seattle, Washington, who, I run the 1500 meters, just coming off the U.S. trials where I got sixth, competed at the University of Virginia, where I was NCAA champion in the mile, and yeah, just been doing the mile 800 5K type of thing for a long time now. So not a huge expert on gymnastics, but I've been watching and casual fan can give my 2 cents. I had a lot of questions for you all, to be honest, but I might have to send them in for you on Tuesday.
Well, you could do that. You could do that. We did toy around with the idea because we had some competition footage of him, and Quincy and I were like, maybe we should just play some competition footage, and then we could break it down. And then we're like, nah, that's going to be bad. It's just a bad idea. But I do want to work in today. So I did an interview with Shari Hawkins, and maybe in a second, Quincy, let's bring that in. We can kind of start it off with another video here. So when we bring this in, all you guys who are watching, you control the audio, so you can just go in there and click on the audio, and we'll be quiet while everyone watches it. But Shari Hawkins is a heptathlete for the U.S., 33 years old, and she just made her first Olympic team, and is a really interesting person. And I did a 45-minute interview. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. We did 45 minutes because we were just talking about everything. And so we're going to keep cutting it up and using it throughout other shows, but we're going to put it on our YouTube channel. We already released one short episode or a chunk of an interview. But Quincy, why don't you go ahead and load the first one about the javelin, because I think this is interesting.
I really love. I mean, I think like the work that you do can give you confidence to believe. Like a lot of people were really confused and surprised that I threw 49 meters in the javelin, right? Because my previous personal best was 44, and I hadn't been like the best javelin thrower in my life. But I had been throwing 50 meters in practice for years. I had been doing really well, but couldn't put it together in competition. And it was really like, the work had already been done, but what was missing was my belief in myself. I think like the work that you do can give you confidence to believe. Like a lot of people were really confused.
So basically, I mean, you guys were you able to hear that? Okay. I want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that concept of, because I was surprised when I don't know if you guys saw trials, the heptathlon trials for the Olympics, but that was the throw she needed. She went like she's not a great javelin thrower, and she threw 49 meters. Like she said, her best, her PB before that was like 44. It's like so that was a crazy throw when she needed it the most, right? So talk about that, you guys. For you guys, when you're like in practice, things are happening, right, and things are clicking and things are coming together, and then you're able to sometimes, if things work out right, bring it on to the track on the night you need it. So could you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a little bit different in distance running because I think uh, sorry, is it Zaza or Wellington? What do you go by Zaza?
Whichever one you feel
Uh,
comfortable with. They're both my
I'll-
Zaza,
names.
Zaza's the only person I know that he says you could do either name,
okay,
either
well,
way.
I think
It's
Zaza.
interchangeable.
I like both, but Zaza, I like that's a great name. So
I
Zaza,
bet you
you
like
can
Zaza.
you can correct me on this, but I know you're a 110-meter hurdler. As a distance runner myself, a lot of the times in practice, you're doing things around your event, but I never actually do a mile all out where I would go for a personal best. I'm not sure if the 110-meter hurdles are a little bit different, where maybe you can run closer to your competition times in practice. But a lot of the times you're just training and you're doing workouts. Maybe you're doing 1,000 meters instead of a 1,500 meters, and you're piecing together the speed, the distance training. And you have to really have that belief that when you step on the track, it's all going to come together. And a lot of the times that can come from your coach, that can come from past workouts that you've done, years past. And now all of a sudden you're doing the times faster and you're feeling better. So like Shari was saying, she had thrown in practice further than in her competition. And, I'm not a javelin thrower, but I think, probably when it comes down to competition, obviously she's doing a pentathlon, so she's more tired. Maybe that plays into it, but she knew she had the ability to actually throw 50 meters. And a lot of time it's just that self-belief that, you believe that you're at X level. You believe that, for me, a 334 guy last year, I was like, I know I can run 332. You keep saying that to yourself until the day that you actually do it. And then, then that's your new standard. Now all of a sudden I'm a 331 guy. So let's go out there and get it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can definitely agree with that. In training, it's kind of similar. I feel like all events, like we don't necessarily run our actual distance like a pro hurdler. Sometimes you might go, it's 10 hurdles in a race. Sometimes you might go 5, 6. Sometimes when we do our longer hurdles, it's probably like 12 or 11 hurdles, right? So you can kind of get the like a synopsis of what you can do, right? Because sometimes when you do like the 12, 15, 13 hurdles at a time, it's condensed, right? Like the distance is shorter, so that way you can get that rhythm and try to replicate what you want to do, right? So once you get in the range of the time where you really want to go, like for example, like my average 12 hurdles, I could go like 13.4, 13.5, right? And that's around the time of my PR 13.2, 13.3. So once you get into the habit of doing repeats of those type interval runs over hurdles, in your mind you automatically know that all right, cool, I'm within a range where I can be a 13.1 hurdler or a 13 flat hurdler or a sub 13 hurdler. Once you hit that certain range, you feel it,
What
So
is
it
Yeah,
just
that?
I
gives
think
you
it,
that added.
Go ahead, Henry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I think for like a lot of sports, for fans who are watching, and obviously, a lot of people watching the Olympics have competed at one time or another in their life. But I think the factor that plays the biggest role is actually being in a competition. So it's hard to over exaggerate how much adrenaline and being in front of a crowd can actually lead to a performance. Like Zaza, I'm sure you wouldn't be able to, on any given day, you wouldn't be able to go to practice and PR in the 110-meter hurdles. For myself, I'm not going to be able to go run a 350 mile at practice with nobody in the stands. And so sometimes you're doing workouts and you're feeling all right. Maybe, maybe you're a little bit lacking in confidence, and then you just go to the race, and all of a sudden you're like, all right, I can do this. The crowd's cheering, the adrenaline hits. You're kind of piecing together all the aspects of your training, your preparation, and all of a sudden you do a performance where I couldn't get anywhere close to my PR in practice, but when it comes down to it, you just have to believe that you can do it.
Right. Definitely, you believe it, and then also too is like the competition setting, right? My coach always says competition endurance and training endurance is two different things. Um, So when you're in training, obviously you do have a mental, it's like a mental thing where you're like, all right, I need to get close to this mark. So that way you have the adrenaline running, right? But then like when you get to a track meet, it's a whole different thing because you've done it, you visioned it already, you attempted it already. So now it's like a different type of adrenaline. Like, all right, let's get it done. So it's
You
definitely,
don't want to
it's
be
definitely similar.
I don't know if you have this in the sprinter world, but you don't want to be the workout warrior. That's what That's what we
Nah,
call the people who
we call it practice heroes. We call it practice heroes.
yeah, practice
There's so
heroes,
many people.
exactly.
Yeah, there's so many people who's won many gold medals and world champions and broke world records in training, but when they get to the track meet, it's like, all right, bro, where you been at?
Yeah. Sometimes, it's better to be the person in practice who maybe is more low key, and then you show up to a competition, and all of a sudden, your lights out because you kind of lock in that mental side of it. I mean, my coach Danny has even said to me, he's like, sometimes you just suck at practice. I'm like, all right, that just happens. Some days you show up tired, whatever, but as long as you show up to the track meet ready to compete, then that's all people remember.
Hey, I want to talk. This is a really interesting conversation. One of the things, and I haven't done this yet in any of these shows yet, but I don't think a lot of people realize that you guys train in groups, right? But there's two people in particular I want to talk about because you guys have insights on both of them. So I want to talk about Josh Kerr, Henry, and then I want to talk about Fred Curley, Zaza, and take us inside because you guys are inside that world. But maybe give us kind of a sneak peek on who these two guys are. And I'm going to toss it first to Zaza. Fred Curley is one of I think he's like the most interesting man in track and field. Like
He's actually one of the interesting. You think he's interesting? I think Fred is one of the most unpredictable men in the world. It's crazy because I tell him that every day. Every time I look at him, or every time I'm on FaceTime with him, I'm like, yo, it'd be random. It should be a random thought, like, yo, you're the most unpredictable motherfucker in the world. Like, honestly, I don't think he understands what I really mean. One of these days, I'm gonna just break it down to him. But like, honestly, he's a really good friend of mine. We're really close. But with him, man, I've never met a person in my life that believes 100.1%. I had the extra 1% there. 101% of everything he thinks. Like, and it's so motivational to me as a friend and a brother type of thing to him that it's like if he thinks he could jump off a bridge and stick it landing on one foot, I could land on my forehead. You know what I'm saying? So it's like very motivational to see how he thinks and see how he processes things because he processes things in a abnormal way, and it makes absolutely no sense until he shows you.
Zaza, we and then Henry, I want you to see if you got questions for him about Fred actually. But when we were shooting with Fred, I can't remember if you were
It was
there.
Arkansas. It was Arkansas. Yeah.
No, the one in Eugene.
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
Oh yeah, no, it was trials. So
Right, it was trials. Yeah.
we saw Fred at practice because there's two tracks that you guys are practicing at. One is like the public one, and one is like the right.
Yeah,
And then but we ran into Fred, and he's buddies with Vernon and all, and so we're just chatting it up.
Uncle V.
Yeah, and Fred said, I said you should swing by the house after after you do your thing after the race, and he's like, yeah, I'll be there. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. We get a knock on the door because everyone else had left. We get a knock on the door, and there's Fred Curley. So that video that you see that we put out with, we did a super doc with him, but then we did a one-on-one where he's interviewing himself. That was shot at 11:30 after Olympic trials.
That's crazy.
But that's like the stand-up guy. There's a lot of people that you see and they're like, yeah, I'll catch you later, and you never see him again. Because my big thing in production is sometimes tomorrow never happens. Like people are like, hey, let's do it tomorrow. No, let's do it now. But Fred is a guy that everyone wanted to talk to, and he showed up at 11 o'clock. So, but
Better
Henry,
late than never.
yeah, no, I mean, it's Henry. What do you have questions for Zaza about Fred?
I don't know if I have questions. I'm a big Fred Curley fan myself. I just, like you said, the fact that I follow him on Instagram and he's posting like hashtag trillionaire lifestyle, hashtag trillionaire, like whatever. And I'm like, this guy, he does believe that, that's the goal. And, he does phase 42, all that type of stuff.
And it's
And
crazy.
yeah, sorry,
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I
I'm sorry.
just like that confidence, because a lot of the times, you kind of have to say it. You have to speak it into existence. And it seems like he's spoken a lot of things actually into existence, where he comes from being a 400-meter runner, says he's going to win the 100 meters at the world champs, and nobody believes him. All of a sudden he does that. So it's like, all right, don't root against him, because clearly he's capable of whatever he puts his mind to.
No, definitely. And it's crazy too. Like, it's not even like a goal for him, right? It's for him, once he thinks about something, he'll wake up, like he'll call me at like 2, 3 o'clock a.m., right? And it's funny, he'll call me like 2, 3 o'clock a.m. He's like, yo, I just ran such and such in my dream, or I just thought about I could do this. And like, it's 2 a.m. So you can't really process what he's saying, but like it's 2 a.m. So like, and it's crazy to me, like once he has that in his head, it's no longer a goal, it's actuality. Like he actually walks around and knows that he's gonna do what he says he's gonna do. And that's why, I mean, I just explained it to him right now, and that's why I believe and think he's the most unpredictable man in the world. Because if Fred tweets right now, I'm going to run 9.58, I believe it. Because I've never met someone who's more convicted in his personal head than anybody else in the world. I mean, I met Usain Bolt, Safa Powell. See, they were like the game changers of the sport, but he is a visionary of the sport, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool. Henry, let's dive a little bit into Josh, and because you are running with him every day, and he's such a seemingly quiet guy, but he's not, right?
Yeah, no, he's no Josh.
I love
think
this. I love the trash talk, though. I love
the
it.
trash talk.
Listen,
That's all legit.
yo, listen. I'm not gonna lie to you. When sprinters talk shit, it's normal. But when distance runners talk shit, I love it, bro. I
Yeah,
love it so much. I feel like,
there's certainly no love lost between those two guys. It's they mean what they're saying.
and I love it so much because like when sprinters talk, it's just we just talking. But when distance runners talk, like distance runners are just known to be like real quiet guys with just occasionally sarcastic, right? But like when distance runner talk shit, like yo, you pissed them off because
Yeah.
you guys don't look for trouble for nobody, and I really truly love it, man. Like, but Josh
Yeah,
Kerr
it's
all day.
I think I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if you're a sprinter, say you're a guy like Fred Curley, or maybe a Noah Lyles, or one of these top guys in the world, you're obviously very confident in your abilities, but you're also kind of able to execute what you think you can, what you're able to perform. Like there's obviously some things that can go wrong. Your starts can go wrong, whatever, that type of thing. But there's, less than 10 seconds most of the time, and can be fairly predictable. So like you're talking trash. Maybe Fred Curley goes to a race and he knows he's the best guy there. So he's a little bit comfortable talking trash. In my mind, as a distance runner like Josh or Jakob in the 15, there's so much that goes down. And then, if you really want to be one of these top dogs, you're going to have to go hurt for like 1,000 meters, and you're going to have to put it to somebody, and you better hope that they can't hang with you, because if you've been talking all this trash
Now,
and they
facts.
beat you, then all of a sudden you're
You got
looking. So there's a lot of variables, and obviously there's variables in sprinting as well. But I think distance runners are not afraid to talk trash, but more like reserved, because I don't know. You go to the meets and you see the distance runners, and they're the ones that are just kind of like quiet. They're getting ready for their event, but in our minds, we're like, this is going to really suck. This is going to be horrible for the next 3 minutes. And so you're almost like mentally preparing for that pain.
right.
Hey,
That's all I'm about to say. That's what I'm about to say. Like, I feel like you guys just like are mentally so much zoned in on how far and how long I gotta run to even want to talk trash. And then it's like I just talk trash to Henry, and now I gotta make a statement to Henry, and I really don't want to make a statement because now I gotta get out harder than I normally do, and then I got like 12 or 13 more laps to go, and it's like, yo, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Henry, it seems though, like from the pure viewer, it seems like Josh has Jakob's number. Like it kind of seems like he has his number. I don't know. I mean,
I think
that's just pure
I think of that
fan.
Prefontaine. Yeah, that Prefontaine Classic. It was a big moment in their rivalry because Jakob's move is go from 600 meters out, and if you're going to hang with him, you're going to have to almost kill yourself to do it. It's going to be a grind, and most people in the world can't hang with him. And so when I saw Josh at Prefontaine take it from 600 meters out and do the exact move that Jakob has been holding on to as his signature, and then flip it on him, and then Jakob not being able to respond, I was like, obviously Josh kicked him down at the World Championships, but now he just took what he likes to do and use it against him, and all of a sudden that must have gotten in his head where he's like, shoot, now I don't know how I'm going to handle this guy because I couldn't out kick him last year, and now I can't out grind him. So I'm very interested to see how this 1500 meter plays out. And just talking about him in general, obviously one of my teammates and close friends, and it sounds like what Zaza's saying with Fred, a lot of it kind of I can see similarities with how Josh approaches the sport, where he, if he says he's going to go break the 2 mile world record, I remember him telling me that. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like not really your event. That sounds kind of crazy. Goes out there and breaks a 2 mile world record. And I'm like, I think that was the last time that I would question him if he says he's going to do anything. Not that, I've always believed in him as a teammate and a friend, but that was one where I was like, okay, this guy is just going to go do whatever he says he's going to do. And and it's cool as well because he's not making these calls that are kind of easy, or he's not being like, oh, I'm going to go win this race that he should win. He's like, I'm going to go get this world record. I'm going to go win the world championships and then off event, I'm going to win the Olympics. And you're like, all right, let's see you get after it. And so a lot of self-belief with him, and obviously the performances back it up. I think it's like a good positive feedback loop. He says he's going to win something, he wins it. He's like, okay. Says I'm going to set a world record, sets a world record. Okay, all of a sudden, he's now proven to himself that what he put his mind to, he can achieve. So he's got to be in a very good spot going into Paris.
Yeah, and I think too. By the way, if anyone wants to watch the show that we did with you guys, the Brains Behind the Beast, which we kind of tried to make Danny Mackey the coach, who's a really interesting and cool dude and one of the hardest working coaches I've ever met. And but we feature kind of the whole team, and it kind of, and this is going into the World Championships in 22, right? 22, something like that.
Yeah,
I think so. But it's a 4-part series. You're on the. We wanted to make it. We're on the journey with you guys, because I think a lot of people don't realize too, like how your training works. Like you guys started. We met you, I think, in at the altitude camp, right?
mm-hmm.
Right. And so we were in New Mexico, and then I think we were in 3 or 4 different cities working our way toward Eugene. So. I really enjoyed producing that and shooting that, and because it got us inside your world. It was fun to see.
Yeah, as a distance runner, it's as a track athlete in general, it's a full-time job. But as a distance runner, it's like the season starts for us in October, and you're putting in your base mileage, through the fall season, through kind of the winter. You transition over to a bit more track work as you start, indoor season. Obviously, there's some races, so you want to sharpen up. And then outdoors, you're still trying to maintain that. So it's kind of like, it's one of these things where if you take a step back and you think about all the work you're going to have to do over a year, it can be a little overwhelming, but you kind of just take it one day at a time. In the fall, you're going to go do, 80 plus miles a week of training. So like 12, 13 miles a day. As you approach racing season, you'll be on the track more. So there's really a lot that goes into it. And I think the behind the scenes work, it's easy to slack on like the little things, but at a major championship, that's where those milliseconds and seconds are made up, and that's what's going to be the difference between 1 making the final versus the semis or the prelim, and 2 having a chance to win it.
Yeah. The before I show we show another Shari Hawkins interview. I actually, Quincy, I do want to show Ewell on the parallel bars. And again, I think in this one there's no audio, so you can just watch it. But I really just want to understand your guys as athlete, your point of view on another elite athlete and what they do in a completely different sport and kind of athlete mindset. So the one thing, and again, there's no audio here, so we can talk over this stuff. When we shot with Ewell, he talked about how parallel bars are the most it's the most technical of, I think, the five events that he does. And he said, he goes, I can be high up in the air, but he's on his hands the whole time. He's like, I can be high in the air, I can be low, I have to get myself back up. I'm slamming onto my elbows and armpits like he did there. He has to be super precise. When you guys look at this, what do you see as athletes?
Crazy control, crazy core control, crazy core control. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I would have. That's a face plant right there for me. Nah, no, I mean just crazy core control and crazy upper body strength. That as a hurdler, I have to have similar attributes. I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't have it.
Well, he said too, Henry,
is
before you jump in, Yule said there's when you're like building up to all of these moves, but there's like hundreds of iterations of these things, like, and they're building it into their kind of bank of kind of movements. But he's like, literally, there's hundreds of them. And he was naming, they all have names, and he was like going on for like 5 minutes, rattling off names of all these moves. So Henry, go ahead.
I think the intricacies of gymnastics are a little bit lost to me because I don't know how it's scored. I don't really know the moves. Obviously, a lot of these things look impossible to me. So that's it's impressive. That's kind of all I think when I watch gymnastics. I'm like, well, that looked crazy, and they're like, oh, that's an easy move. I'm like, they just flipped 50 times in the air. How is that easy? But I think the cool thing, like being an athlete, is that people come up to you when you're running. I'm sure they came up to you when you're hurdling, and they're like, oh, you make it look so easy. And it's never easy.
Now,
It feels hard.
My favorite one is when they see me in person. Oh, no way! How can you do that? You look so much bigger and taller on TV. I'm 5'9". They're like,
yeah,
oh,
it's one of those things where it's like, well, for you especially, I mean, those hurdles are crazy high. I don't think people realize that, but yeah, I think what I've come to appreciate is the easier somebody makes something look, the better they are. So Ewell on that, he makes it look easy. And I think if I went onto the bar, I don't think I could even push myself up onto the bars. So it's one of those things where a little bit of it is lost at a major competition like the Olympics, where the people are so good there. You're seeing the highest level of competition. And like anything, the best people in the world make it look easy when it's really something that would be impossible for anybody who hasn't trained their entire life to do.
Yeah, I mean, in this episode that we did for the science of movement, so we feature Ewell in the gymnastics episode, and there was one point where he was just, oh, by the way, they have like a little secret grippy thing before he gets on like the parallel bars. He chalks up his hands, and then he takes one little dot of honey, like literal honey, and I'm like, because he had like the little honey bear honey thing. And I'm like, what is that? Is that really honey? He's like, oh, yeah, that's honey. That's our little secret.
crazy.
So it makes it tackier. But he's just kind of like warming up, and then he jumps down. And I'm like, Yule, even that looked insane. He goes, yeah, everything's hard. Like he was saying the same thing you're saying, Henry. It's like, everything is hard. Everything is hard. Doesn't matter
what struck me watching the gymnasts the past few days is just how jacked these guys are. Like their arms are like as big as their legs almost. Like they're just like, I think we talked about this on the stream with Devin, where it's like in track and field, you see specific body types curated to the event. So a 110-meter hurdler looks a lot different than a 10K runner. A gymnast is a perfect example where I know I looked up Ewell before this episode. And I think he's 5'3", but he is absolutely ripped. And so like that's the perfect body type for a gymnast. And across the Olympics, you see, I mean, being in the Olympic Village would be, hilarious, a hilarious experience because you'd have the 5'3" ripped gymnast next to a Ryan Krauser who's 6'5",
Yo,
massive next to the basketball players next to
You see the video of Ryan Krauser doing a little flippy thing on the bar?
I haven't seen that, no.
Oh man, you guys have to see that. Ryan Krauser is like literally doing like the bars, like doing a whole like
that was
gymnastics
insane.
move.
Ryan,
the guy's like 400 pounds.
Ryan is
that's crazy.
One of the most unique athletes you'll ever see. So we kind of started a little controversy on YouTube with a YouTube short. And we only have 2,600 subscribers at the moment. So go and subscribe, by the way, everybody. Get out there.
Yeah, Ramon Barneswell, Kadeem, all of you guys, I know y'all watching, better subscribe.
YouTube.com, / World's Greatest, exactly. So
click subscribe, whatever.
We've shot with Krauser a lot, right? And so when we were shooting with Boogie Johnson, we were interviewing him talking about Krauser because we're trying to like round out Krauser's episode. And he goes in that Boogie voice, he goes, you can line up Usain Bolt and Ryan Krauser and put him in a three-point stance, and my money will be on Ryan Krauser in those first 15 to 20 meters.
Yeah, I believe it.
And so then in our live stream last year with Devin, so Devin and Krauser were chatting it up, and so we started to talk about that. And Ryan, I was expecting Ryan to go, wow, that's kind of insane or whatever. But he didn't. He goes, you have to remember all of our movement is this tiny little within 2-3 seconds. And it's this explosive power. He's like, we have unmatched explosive power. He goes, after 15, 20 meters, my hamstrings would explode. But
yeah, they build up so much kinetic force and kinetic energy that I feel like once he actually puts those like 200-pound thighs in the air and bring it down, I'm pretty sure he'll cover
talk about that. I want to talk about that for a second because I learned something from Natasha Hastings years ago, this idea about putting force into the track and getting it back out. Talk to us about that idea of how your bodies move and how you control that movement to optimize your kind of speed and efficiency.
So as a sprinter, I mean, distance runners don't really have this type of issue because they just go. But as a sprinter, creating kinetic energy is more so it's something called you do that in something called a dry phase, right? Some athletes do from 15, some athletes do it to 30. The whole concept is to keep the trunk of your body kind of like in like a plane taking off movement, so that way you carry and try to cover as much distance with as much power into the ground as possible. And obviously you can't go at maximum velocity when you're slightly bent, right? So your body won't allow you until you get out of your transition and you stand up to go. So like within that first 30 meters, the goal is to put as much power and effort and force down into the track within the dry phase as much as possible to build up the kinetic energy that's going to take you and just slingshot you. It's called a slingshot effect. That as soon as you get up, your body just literally slingshots because your body has been you're trying to push your body to maximum speed as much as possible. It's like when you're driving a car, when you have gone past the govern, the car it starts to shake. That's literally your body within that first 30 meters. You need to have some good core stabilization, stiff ankles, strong knees, and a very strong back to be able to hold that energy. Because some people, like for me, I'm 185 pounds. So I'm putting 3 times as much of my body weight into the ground force application. So to be able to carry that, I need to be able to first lift my body weight, twice my body weight at least, and hold my body weight. So that's pretty much how it works.
Henry, how about you when you're talking about movement and force and energy and efficiency?
Yeah, these are things that distance runners don't really have to worry about quite as much. I think with distance running, a lot of times you just want to be like quick on your feet. You want to make sure you're like rebounding off the ground quickly, being, trying to stay more light and fluid. A lot of times you're thinking about, your arm carry. It's not about force because you have to be as efficient as possible, going around for 1,500 meters. And obviously there's different parts of the race. The start, you're sprinting, but you're not obviously going as fast as a 110-meter hurdler. Mid race, you're kind of, trying to ride that red line. The car analogy works well, where you are hitting that RPM red line, and you have to find the perfect I guess the perfect amount where you don't go past it because you don't blow up, but you're not also leaving too much gas in the tank. And then the close, it's really just all about, for me, I'd like to think a lot about like driving my arms because after 1,400 meters of racing, you start tightening up, like your body starts like getting restricted. And so if you can kind of like loosen the shoulders, you can breathe, you can stay relaxed, like you can get that arm carry. And that's what's really going to drive you the last 100 meters to, be able to sprint with some of these guys who, we close the last lap in like a 52 to run, 350 miles. So it's certainly a sprint after a lot of aerobic work. Yeah.
The 15 is crazy. It's just
It's
crazy.
diabolical. To be able to run so many damn laps is diabolical, dog. Like, hey, I didn't even lie to you because ain't no way.
It goes by quick. It goes by quick.
It's my warm-up lap. My warm-up lap is about 300 meters. That's it.
Break down your race, Henry. Break down your race because we did not do a science of movement for the 1,500, but I would love to do one. Break that race down for us, how that works, and what is your mindset, and what is your kind of approach, your individual, but in general as well.
Yeah. So, the big thing with 1,500 meter racing, a lot of times, especially at these major championships, is going to be your positioning. The person who wins the race or the people who make it through to the next round. They're obviously going to be fit, but they're also going to be the guys who have used the least amount of energy throughout the entire race so that they can close the best. So something that, maybe the casual fan doesn't think about too much is like in the middle of the race, you don't want to be boxed in too much on the rail. You don't want to be throwing elbows the whole time. You don't want to be out in lane 2 because that adds extra distance. So while the guy in lane 1 right on the rail might be running 1,500 meters almost exactly, if you've run the entire race in lane 2, you're running like 1,520 meters. And so all of a sudden you have to be faster over a shorter distance than guys who might actually already have a better PR than you. So really, there's those small tactical things to keep in mind. Those errors can lead to mistakes. Sorry, go ahead.
So I always wanted to know, like, some distance runners, like for example, like Kerr likes to take it out fast, right? I always wanted to know, like, when you guys are in, like, because I know it becomes both, like, if you're at a regular track, you say you're at like a diamond league, right? Mm-hmm. I want to win mentality. So you just do your regular race plan versus you're not at the Olympics, right? How does that differentiate between your race strategy? Because now I've watched over the years of distance running that in championships, athletes who would normally take it out and be like the pace setters and then like control the pack, they usually just fall to the back. Like, does that not like slow you down, or does that not make you tired in the long run? Like especially like for a 15 or something like that.
Yeah, so the major difference between the championships and the Diamond League or any other meet is that they'll have rabbits. So they'll have guys who are out there. They're the ones setting the pace. They're blocking the wind a little bit, and so you're able to turn off your mind. What the reason a lot of these guys in major championships kind of go to maybe a different position, not straight to the front, is because they don't want to be the one breaking the wind for everybody. They don't want to have everybody gauging off of them and making it a bit. It is a few percentage points easier to be trailing somebody than it is to be leading. Somebody like Jakob, who, in most races is the favorite and faster, even in a major championship, he might go out front because he knows he's fitter. He's got more strength. And so there's small things to think about. Like if you're up in front, then obviously you're taking the brunt of the work, and it's going to be a little bit harder, but you're also not going to get tangled up. You're not going to have to worry about positioning as much. You're going to be on the rail and, like I said, running almost the optimal amount of distance. If you go to the back, you run into problems where maybe somebody falls. Maybe you get tangled up yourself. Maybe, when you want to move, the other guys want to move too. So all of a sudden you have to go out into lane 3. So A lot of people, especially through the rounds, I'm sure you'll see Jakob in the back. He's comfortable kind of anywhere because he can move very well.
Yeah, I
Just
see.
being almost a head and shoulders above more, his PB, what is it? It's probably 3 or 4 seconds better than most people that he's racing. So he's confident that when he wants to move, he can make the move and he can dictate it. And I think in the final, it's going to be very interesting because him and Josh, they're obviously wanting to battle each other, but
Yeah,
I'm not
and
sure
they
who's
got
going to
similar
want to
race strategies too.
similar race strategies, and I don't know if one of them is going to want to actually take it or if they're going to want to defer to somebody else, or maybe one of the other competitors. And obviously, they have to make the final first, so you're trying to maintain your energy through the rounds. Maybe another competitor, they want to make a risky move, and so they take it out fast. So a lot of these little nuances, and if you're in the middle of the pack, it's hard to tell when you're watching the race on the stream, but you're clipped the entire time. We all come out away with it, like our shins are all cut up from
This
spike
is going to be
marks.
proud as hell.
We're getting elbowed. We're getting elbowed. People are pushing. So you're trying to run a 350 mile or 330 1500 while somebody's elbowing you in the rib, and so it makes it tougher. So I know I haven't really broken down the race too much, but I
Yeah,
said
this is great. This is great.
that that whole piece about positioning and everything was to say in the beginning of the race. For me personally, I try to get out fast and be able to choose your positioning. So if you can get out fast and you can beat a lot of the guys to the first 100 meters, the curve, then yeah, you can choose where you want to be. Maybe up in the front, maybe you want to be in kind of like lane 1.5, not quite lane 2, but outside shoulder of the leaders. That's another thing. That's another great place to be because somebody's going to fly by you at one point, and if you can respond, then all of a sudden you're in front of the leader and you're boxing them in. There's all these little tactics that happen, and honestly, what I've learned over the years is you can have your race planned down to a T. You can talk about it all you want. It never works out that way. So you really just have to be fluid in the moment, and you have to be thinking the entire time because if somebody makes a crazy move, you have about a millisecond to respond. Otherwise, you might get lost. Everybody blows by you. All of a sudden, you're trapped and you can't move anywhere. So, yeah, there's some nuances that I don't think necessarily get carried over in the stream, but yeah, there's a lot of thinking actually happening in the 15.
That's really cool. I want to bring in 1 second here, Quincy, that the second video with Shari Hawkins. So again, Shari Hawkins is a heptathlete. She's competed in Paris, 33 years old. In her mind, I had this great interview with her, and she really has just kind of broke through, right? But this is a bit of a longer piece. It's like a minute 30, minute 25 or something. So, and again, everyone who's watching, if you're watching this live, you control the volume. So Quincy, why don't you pop that up and let's watch it.
I really love With Winning in Mind by Larry Basham, and I love The Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker. Those are like kind of my two big staples I really love. Larry Basham talks about how 5% of the athletes do 95% of the winning. And really what it is they believe they're going to win at the end of the day. And I think that so many times athletes show up to do their best, but they forget to show up to beat everybody, right? They forget to show up to actually come up on top. And again, this is a subconscious thing. So people will do their best, but somehow they fall short, and that's what happened to me in 2021 is I didn't make the team. I got a personal best in the heptathlon, but I got beat, right? Other people showed up because in my mind, in my subconscious, I just wanted to show up and do my best and give it my best and give it my all. And I think that there's a part of me that had to shift the focus from my good and my best is good enough to win, and shifting that focus of I don't have to do better than my best, sure, but I also need to know and believe that my best will get me on the podium at the end of the day. And when you make that shift, a lot of magic things happen, because I think a lot of times people will show up really prepared, but it won't go their way. I really love.
So, what are you guys hearing? That one really struck me. That was why we kind of pulled that clip out. I'm curious. It's kind of a nuance in a way, but it's big at the same time. This idea of just doing your best is not what it is. It's doing your best is good enough to win, right? So talk to me about what you guys kind of heard there, and what your philosophy is and your mindset, and kind of like a winning mindset.
Yeah, so there's something that we say before a lot of major championships is that, there's 36 people at the Olympic trials. You know, there's really maybe 10 people who have a chance of actually making the team. And so a lot of times people have beat themselves going into these big races where it's like, some people will be kind of banged up, so they're not going to be able to perform as well as maybe they usually could. Some people are there just having a good time. They're just happy to have made the trials. Some people don't truly believe that they can make the team. And then you have that, maybe 10% of people who are there to actually compete to win and to make teams. So if you can put yourself in that category of people that are showing up to these major championships, not just to be there, not just to make the final, but to actually make a team, go for a win, then you actually have given yourself a chance. Because there's a lot of times you're in a race and you run very well or you run a PB. And you're happy, but you never really had a chance of winning, which is what at the end of the day we're there to do. So I mean, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna do it. Like Shari said in 2021, she didn't make a team. She had a personal best. Maybe her mindset shifted, but there's a lot of people who go in thinking that they can make a team and think they're going to win these championships. Who at the end of the day they don't. This year that was kind of me. I got sixth place, got a PB, and I was right there with 200 meters to go, but I just couldn't get it done. And so I think if you finish the championship and you've gone for the win, what else can you really do? I've had in the past where I've made maybe a rash move with 400 meters to go because I was going for the win, and I've had people be like, "Oh, you should just ran for third." And I'm like, "I'm not here to run for third ever. I'm here to win the race." Even if third gets me on the team, that doesn't guarantee if you run for third. Maybe if you run for the win, you get fifth place. If you had been running for third, you get eighth place, or maybe who knows how it is. But you want to have that mindset where you're going to actually win. And I don't think anybody goes out there who's serious and they run for third. That's never in anybody's mind.
I definitely agree with you on that. So I got a similar story. Like this year was like my first year back because last season I ended up tearing my hamstring. So like this year mentally I was like, oh yo, like I'm gonna give everything I have. Every race I was a personal best, well season's best, season's best, season's best. Every race that I ran. And I went to Jamaica trials because my country we don't have an Olympic trial, so I went to Jamaica trials. So I had an opportunity to race Cancer Parchment. I had the opportunity to race. What the name Rasheed Bell and those guys like very frequently. So for me, it was like, all right, cool. Like if I give my best, regardless of what I run, I know it's going to be fast, right? And it ended up being fast as we already predicted, And so pretty much before going to the race, my coach Stephen Francis of MVP, he pretty much told me, he's like, yo, like, if you're not ready to make this Olympic team, don't come. And he was like, there's no, he always instilled into us like this whole season of like, your best is your best. Like, there's nothing outside of that you could do other than what you did. And what you did is what you did. So I definitely do agree with you, Henry.
Like, once again, I'm always amazed when we get to this time. It's like it's 10 minutes left in the show. I, I don't know how it happened because we haven't even covered any other sports. Quincy, I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you want to drop any scores, any fun facts in the chat or anything like that. But this would be a good time to do that if you want to do that. But I do want to talk about, and I want to do our "What were you thinking?" question. Like we always like to ask this: "What were you thinking when?" And I kind of want to start it off this time with Zaza. And a lot of times we talk about happy things, and sometimes in your lowest moments, those are the moments that actually can inspire you. And so I want to know what were you thinking when you tore your hamstring, but there was some point in there where you said, "I'm coming back from this." I want to know what you're thinking in that time period.
You sure you want to know what I was thinking about?
Hey.
It was a lot of expect. It was a lot of bad words. I'll tell you that for sure. Nah, but nah. And in the moment when I tore my hamstring, it was it was very disheartening. Because it wasn't disheartening that I'm gonna give you a picture. It wasn't disheartening in the fact that I pulled my hamstring. It was disheartening in how I pulled my hamstring. You know, it was like it was a really good race first round to get into the next round because it was a continental gold meet, um, and whatnot. So I finally said, all right, cool. I ran one of like the top 5 times in the world early because this is the week before Grant Holloway opened up over in Paris. Um, so I ran. I said, yeah, we're good. Going to the second round, I get to race somebody. So Dimitri Bascu, who's one of like all time favorite hurdlers, whatnot. So long story short, we get in the race. I'm beating him, and he ends up like bumping me going over hurdle 4. There's 5 hurdles in the 60. Like, relax, bro. Um, so he bumps me. I over hyperextended my knee, and then like those bubble spikes, they they fling you wherever you plant. So like I end up breaking it like that. So in that moment of breaking of tearing my hamstring, I was kind of like pissed, man, pissed at myself, pissed at how poorly I executed. As much as watching the video, I was executing perfectly, but it always comes back to you could have done better, you could have done more. And I think the fact that I mentally had that thought laying down on the track, telling myself that I could have done more and I could do better is what kind of like got me back into that mindset of yeah, like yo, we gonna be back, and when we gonna be back, the move that we're going to make is going to be so much better than before. And quite frankly, I spoke it into existence, along with some of my support staff, support team, whatever. They pretty much told me, and then like I ended up going to MVP. If you know anything about MVP, MVP is one of the most prominent sprints and hurdles group in the world. And coach pretty much broke me down from nothing and pretty much like rebuilt me into a much better, stronger, faster athlete than I was coming in. So um, that was also motivation that actually got me thinking like, yo, I definitely think I can really come back. When I come back, it's gonna be good.
I love that. See, this is why I like that question. I'm always surprised. I ask the same question. It's like so Zaza, do you have a what were you thinking question for Henry?
Yeah. All right. So all right, bet you ready for it? It's not going to be too much, but so
Yeah,
what
let's
were you
go.
thinking? All right, so you coming around the turn with 450, 450 meters to go, right? And you seen that you were in sixth or seventh at the time, right? If I don't remember, you're in that range. Um, what were you thinking with those last 450 meters to go at the
Yeah,
trial?
with the oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear you.
Oh, sorry. I think Zaza might have frozen a little bit. But yeah, with the at that point, it's very like in your mind, it's extremely chaotic. You know, you're like you've got the adrenaline fully surging, especially when you feel good in a race like the Olympic trials, where such a big dreams on the line. Personally, with 450 meters to go, I was in maybe a spot that I was, didn't want to be in. I was a little bit boxed in, so I was not freaking out, but being like, all right, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. So I'm thinking that I'm looking around me. Other guys are moving. Other guys are kicking. You're making sure you're not getting tangled up. And so I had to find my gap. I had to, with 300 meters to go, I kind of found a gap, shot it, passed on the inside. Then I'm up on the leader's shoulders, and really just from then on out, it's just like you're just thinking sprint. Your legs want to give up on you. This is the fastest time I'd ever run by almost 2 seconds. So really kind of redlining there, and I was just kind of hoping my legs were going to do their thing. And so you're just thinking like drive. I'm kind of thinking about all the things that I've been practicing all year long. We do a lot of like sprint workouts to simulate the last 100 meters of a race. And so that was really where my head was at. It was like just drive my arms, just get the legs going, just like knees up, making sure that I'm getting to that line and really just running through the line. Unfortunately, with 100 meters to go, I kind of realized I probably wasn't going to catch the guys in front of me. But then it really just comes down to like not giving up at all. And I think that can be the hardest part for people when you realize maybe you're not going to make a team, you're not going to get top 3, but you have to commit to that last 100 meters. And so for me, it was like, all right, every place, drive, go as hard as I can. And I ended up running a huge PB out of it. So I'm glad that I just kept going, because if you had given up, then who knows, maybe somebody else passes you and you go from, I was 6th place, not bad, but maybe somebody catches you and all of a sudden you're 8th place, and that doesn't sound quite as good. So just really giving it everything you have that last 400.
No,
If they had a,
that's cool.
if they had a 4 by mile, if they had a 4 by 15, you would have been on the team.
Yeah, I know. We need some more relays.
Right. I like that relay concept. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last show, that's right, crazy. Henry?
Hey, our team's got the 4 by mile world record, so might as well bring us out to the Olympics.
That's right. That would be crazy.
I like changing up formats like that as well. Like keep
they added 3-on-3 basketball to the Olympics. Why not put a 4 by mile?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they got to put we need a DMR at the Olympics. That's a fun event because it gets the sprints, it gets the everybody together.
No, I want a DMR with all distance runners. I love watching y'all sprint. Yeah, it's crazy. You guys go from little trots for 60-something miles or 60-something laps, and then that last 150, just guys gun it, and it's just because you guys don't even run. Some distance runners don't even run with arms, so it's funny seeing you guys actually go full speed. And, it's just
throwing everything you got at it.
That's Goose. For example, watching Goose. Goose is one person who I'm watching is try, and it's
and his knees are buckling. He's always flailing his legs, and but he still run 52 seconds, 25 second 200. So
and they don't even look that way.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, when you guys, when you see, I mean, if anyone has not seen track and field in person, and it's really all of these sports, in person is a completely different thing. So whether it's Yule, doing what he does, on the floor or on the vault was insane. They sprint down this runway, they hit that little springboard. And by the way, the springboard is you can adjust the springs. They have a certain range, which I never knew, which is kind of cool to know. And but Yule's about 5'6" or 7, by the way. So when he hits the springs, it's I don't know, some incredible amount of force, 14 or 16 times his body weight or something. So it really launches him to the vault. But our cam op, whose name is Cam, he was shooting the scene, and he's like, man, I want to see what this is like. And he's a pretty big guy, probably 180, 190 pounds, whatever, 6 foot. And he couldn't even make the springs move. Literally, they were not moving. Wow. It was like a brick wall that he was standing on. So I'm seeing the stuff in person, what you guys do is so incredible. When we did our interviews with the doctors for the Science of Movement series, I kept asking them, tell us why this is so amazing, what these athletes are doing, and kind of put it in that kind of, physics of movement kind of language. But it's and universally, they're all saying they're asking everything of their bodies. They're pushing everything to the very razor's edge of what a human body can do. So
I mean, the average person isn't going to be able to bend a pole vault, and all of a sudden you got Mondo Duplantis jumping 20 feet in the air with it. Even a good athlete like Zaza and myself, Zaza, I'm sure, is a bit stronger than me, being a sprinter, but I think he would struggle to bend the pole, and then all of a sudden you see these guys, they have it almost split in half. And so go grab a shot put and try to throw 16 pounds. It's going to go about 4 feet in front of you, and you realize that throwing it 70 feet or 60 feet or whatever is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. These things. I saw something about the triple jump that these guys are landing on one leg, and it's the weight of a rhinoceros. That's how much force is being put. And so if they can't transfer it, obviously the normal human leg can't handle that. So it's all these crazy.
Oh, we lost Henry. This usually happens once a show, Zaza, where somebody gets bounced. He's going to come back. He's going to come back. We know it. Maybe this is our new exit. No, he's coming back right now.
Yeah, just everybody just leave.
Got kicked out mid-sentence, but
No, Henry, this is a good segue though, because tomorrow or maybe later tonight, I gotta get a text back from. I have Donald Scott, so I'm doing an interview with Donald Scott.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, so it might be at like
yeah, he's a
two
big
in the
jumper.
morning Eastern time that I'm doing it, because he's going to be waking up early. And I'm also getting an interview with Sam Kendricks. That'll happen tomorrow. Uh,
Hey,
Mackenzie Long, team meeting interrupted our scheduled interview today, so that's going to happen. We have big news though. Justin Gatlin's coming on the show next week.
They're
So
good.
nice.
yeah, so that's going to be exciting. So it's every day we're getting more momentum with more with more athletes kind of signing on.
I need to
Tomorrow,
be on that one with the cat for sure.
yeah, no, I think that one is. I think I want kind of like a rotating cast of people coming in, and we'll just bring you in, do a few things, bounce you out, bring someone else in. That's going to be a fun one. Tomorrow we have a new host coming in, Justin Robinson. So and he's going to be hosting for a couple of days. And actually, Henry, you're going to be hosting with him on Monday
Yep.
if you're still good on Monday. Um, Monday's going to be a fun one because we have you two guys and then Shanti Jackson. And tomorrow it's Justin, Clayton Murphy, and Kyle Garland, the decathlete. So, uh,
Nice.
yeah, every day it seems like my DMs are blowing up, texts blowing up. We're gonna have Yule back, but once again, you guys kind of jumping in when we needed you. This is what you guys do to help us out all the time, man. You guys are always kind of there for us.
I love it. I
Of
love it. I
course.
love it, man. I love it.
I want to toss the
Yes.
outro to Henry though. Zaza did our intro, so we
See, see if you can top this. See if you
we
can top this. Come on.
we
I was
No, no
watching. I was
pressure.
just
No
struggling with
pressure.
my internet, but I got to see it.
No pressure. No pressure.
I know. Yeah, I saw Devin do this. I'm gonna have to give the shout outs to all the all the links down here. You see, we got X right there, world's greatest, no vowels. I think Devin might have struggled to remember what a vowel was, but so I think the YouTube is Instagram right here, world's greatest team. YouTube is just world's greatest, I believe.
Yep.
So go and follow all these things. Obviously, Bob just mentioned a lot of great names coming on the show, and so it's going to be fun talking about the Olympics. This next week, we're going to have a lot of stuff with track and field to discuss. I'm sure, there's going to be big storylines, some big upsets, which I'm always excited to see at the Olympics, and some Cinderella stories happening. So tune back in. We'll discuss everything Olympics and not just track and field, but Zaza and myself. We can't help but talk about track for an hour. So,
Love
it'll be
that.
fun to have
Love
Yule on
that.
and talk about
Love that.
gymnastics and things like that, and see those different perspectives from different athletes.
Zaza, do you have a shout out? I got a couple that I got to do as well.
Nah, you go first. You go first. You go first.
Well, my shout out is to we have so much going on. It's crazy, but big shout out to HSS Hospital for Special Surgery. They're a sponsor for the Science of Movement series, an amazing series, so fun to produce. I can't wait for us to produce more. We have 10 episodes. You can see it on Curiosity Stream. If you haven't signed up for Curiosity Stream, it's this awesome platform. It's like $2.99 or $3.99 a month, but they have tons of documentaries that are really cool. They're featuring us on their homepage, and then for the Science of Movement series, and then Vizio is going to be doing a lot of promotion for us on. I think they're calling it the World of Sports. So it'll be if you have
Yeah.
a Vizio TV, you can go to it's like the Watch Free section, and then we'll be within that World of Sports section. So yeah.
Okay. Well, shout out to Oakley. Shout out to Team Liberia. Telfar, who's our sponsor. Shout out to MVP Track Club in Jamaica, my training groups. Ramon Barr as well. He played a big mentor for me this year, getting over injuries. I think he's watching if he didn't log out yet. Just shout out to Bob. Shout out to Henry. Shout out to World's Greatest. Shout out to Fan Fest. Skittles, no free shout outs, but you know, that's it.
Hey, we got to lure the sponsors in. Hey, if Skittles are what you're
Yeah,
into, I mean,
yeah.
we could
Apple.
easily.
Shout out to Apple. Apple. We could use Apple. You know, the little goggles. We need
We
that.
could do that. I could
Um,
use a new computer. So
Get
can
us
you
in, get us
guys.
in the
Facts.
metaverse.
Get us into the meta. Apple get us in the metaverse. Just all Fortune 500 companies. Shout out to all of y'all.
Yeah, we got a lot of shout outs going. Henry,
Yeah.
what is our new ending? I don't know. Yesterday, Kyra and Gabby were fully committed just to the peace out thing.
I like the piece and just we'll be back.
All right,
This
all
ain't
right,
the end. So
all right.
see y'all. Thank
Let's
you.
go. We'll see you guys.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah.